What is good, everybody? What is good? It's Big Game James, man. We back in the building, the Big Star Show. We missed last week, but it's okay. Things like that happen. The good thing about being independent, ain't nobody standing over top of saying, "Hey, you got to do this show." We can do it when we
Exactly.
want to. So we bringing it rolling right back here on this Thursday, almost right to game time. But I'm hyped up. So I got my big dog with me, Miss Stargazer. How you doing today?
What's up, Big? How you doing? What's up to everybody in the chat? Like Big said, we did miss last week, but that's okay because we are independent, so we have the ability to be flexible with our schedules. Just so excited to be here and to get into this Dallas Cowboys content, especially since after we obliterated the Giants, and then now we have the Jets up this week, which unfortunately we can't beat the boogeyman, which I know everybody
Oh
wanted to beat
man.
the boogeyman, but we can't beat him because he's out for the season. So we're just gonna have to take what we can get from Zach Wilson, but the Jets still have some playmakers over there, so it still should be a good game. I mean, they still got Cooks, they got picked up Cooks, you got Sauce Gardner, who everybody says he's the best cornerback in the league. So you still have it still should be a show, even though we're not gonna have Aaron Rodgers. So
Yeah, that's the big disappointing part. I haven't seen an article where Mike McCarthy said he was highly disappointed that. Yeah, I know he disappointed because he mad as hell. We couldn't get that revenge
right, we
game
couldn't get that
for
win
that
last
that,
year.
that damn because that meant everything to him last year,
Yeah, it
and the
did.
fact that he's like, oh, he was. I know he was. Wait,
He was ready.
waiting, especially after we did that thing to them. He was like, okay, yeah, especially after we did to them Giants. He's like, oh yeah, Aaron, we about to get you this time. You escaped last
Yeah,
time, we about to get you.
we was about to
But
get.
it is what it is. It
Yeah,
happens. Injuries are part of the game. But as you said before, the Jets still have a pretty good team.
yep,
Because here's the thing. They were all talking Super Bowl, and then they say Aaron Rodgers was the missing piece. So what? All of a sudden, y'all fall off from Super Bowl aspirations
right.
because he's gone. So you must have some good team around. You mentioned Quentin Williams, Sauce Gardner. They got the Wilson kid out of Ohio State.
Yep,
He's pretty darn good. So they got some players. They got a pretty good defense. So it'll
yep.
be another test for the Cowboys, but one I think we'll go ahead and win, and we'll talk about those reasons why. But first, let's get a quick rehash. Well, first, let me give shouts to everybody in the building. So over the Ninja, keep on coming in. Smash that like button, whether you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, Twitter, all are on our channels. Make sure you hit that like button on both our channels so we can keep on hitting that algorithm and keep it going all the way up.
Yep.
But I want to get your quick thoughts. Obviously, we've already seen it been done and happen. Give me your quick thoughts on just that Giants game in a whole, quick capulation of it.
Yeah, I think that we really I think the win, and I had went over it on my show on Monday. There's a lot of records that we broke. Dak broke the record of the fastest or the second only two QBs in history. Him and Aaron Rodgers have reached, I think it's like 2,500 passing yards, and I forgot how many rushing yards, but Dak broke that record. And then you have our whole team broke since 2009. There hasn't been a team that has had a special teams touchdown, a defensive touchdown, and an offensive touchdown. So I think our game versus the Giants just showed it was just a complete team win. Everybody did their jobs, and because everybody did their jobs, we were able to come out and complete domination. And then Mike McCarthy just added to his tenure as our coach with he leads the league now in like 40-point head coaches that have 40-point blowouts. So it just comes to show, that this team is just so in sync and how everybody is just so focused on doing their job so that they can get to the Super Bowl. And I think that was just on shown last Sunday night. And I know people say it's just the Giants, but the Giants were a playoff team last year, so let's not act like they're bums. And then also you have the 3 and 4 letter networks who majority of them picked them to win against us. I mean, you had Dable coming off of head coach of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So the Giants, they have issues with no team. I think Boss Cowboy has said it. He's like no team in the NFL should be getting blown out 0-40. it really doesn't matter how bad you are. You should at least be able to do something or stop something. So the fact that we did that, I think, just shows that like we're not playing around. And I really like the mindset of by Monday we were already on to like next. And I think we got to keep that mindset, that 1-0 mindset. Don't 1-0. We're just trying to beat the team in front of us, move on to the next team, move on to the next team. Because I mean that's the mindset that we have to have. Focus on each opponent, knock them off so that we can eventually get to our end goal, which is to be in the Super Bowl come February. So, but ultimately I think team looked great. I think there's some things that I didn't like the drops. Our team led the league along with the Texans in drops. And the drop percentage, either it was, I think Michael Gelkin or John Machota tweeted it out, but that was the highest drop rate in Dak Prescott's career. So
wow,
we got to do better on that. But other than that, specifically the tight end play. But other than that, I thought everybody was flying off of firing on all cylinders. I thought our defense looked super physical. More physical than they've looked in the past, especially our cornerbacks. I mean, clearly, Trayvon Diggs got 2 forced fumbles. So clearly they are in a different mindset of physicality. You can just really see everybody flying around, and when they made a hit, they made a hit. So I liked what I saw, to be honest. I think we played a great, complete game, and I know people were complaining about the offense, but the offense scored 27 points. And Staudenheimer, Mike, everybody said we had to change the game plan, obviously, because it was a tsunami outside. So
right.
Everybody needs to remember that as well. So, but overall, great team win.
I mean, I feel you. I don't trip off the. I felt the drops, but like you said, it was a torrential storm out there. It was a tropical storm out there. I definitely feel like, and I said this before in this game, I feel like Gallup is going to turn up, and I feel like Dak is going to go back to his tight ends. I feel like he's going to attack Jake Ferguson early, and I also feel like if they get in that red zone, which I feel like they definitely will, Hendershot will be targeted because I just have to believe that if it wasn't raining and he had those type of gloves on inside the Cowboys dome, I don't think he drops that. Just in my opinion, I don't think he drops it. I think the rain affected it, gets slippery out there. I don't want to make excuses for it. They definitely have to tighten that up. But I just believe that probably wouldn't have happened, and I just don't feel like it's going to continue. Also, just to kind of bounce off what you just said, Giants are not no terrible team. They're going to bounce back. They're going to win games. So it's not like they're going to go be an 0-16 team now and they're just going to fall off the total map. They still got good players. They just came across a damn good Dallas Cowboys team, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
Doesn't take away from the Giants saying you could still be a playoff team and you're not still going to win some games and probably some big games this year. But guess what? You came into a real good team and we're just better than them, and it showed. And that's all it is. And no matter if you're a playoff team or not, Dallas Cowboys are better than you guys at this point. That's why you have 10 straight against you guys, 11 now. So 11 now. There's a reason why. And also shout out to Ross Tucker. I ain't hating on you for your coach's preseason list when you had Dabo at 6 or 8 and you have Mike McCarthy at 21, and Dabo ain't beat McCarthy in 3 games so far, which is kind of wacky, but hey, it is what it is. We'll let it slide. Y'all keep on talking bad about us. Y'all keep on underestimating us because I think we're better when we're coming out as the hunted, better when we're going out as the hunter. I like when people are saying, oh, woo. That's fine. It's whatever. Right. But let's jump into this. Jets matchup because obviously the big news we talked about it. Aaron Rodgers is out with the torn Achilles. He'll be out the whole year. Zach Wilson jumps in. They pulled off the upset against the Buffalo Bills. I'm not going to say the Jets didn't play good, but I'm going to say it was more the Bills giving it to you the more you taking it from them, because I just feel like the coaching was irresponsible. Josh Allen was irresponsible. Y'all just got a little too cocky when Zach Wilson came in, and y'all felt like, oh, we can do what we want now. Aaron Rodgers ain't in the game. They got Zach Wilson. So let's just keep chucking the ball out there and let's just do this and that. And guess what? Y'all lost. But I wasn't crazy impressed. But we're going to talk about a few things. But before we jump into anything, let's talk about this injury front. And I'm going to pull that up right quick right now. Miss Star. And right now, I'm going to kind of get your thoughts on it. Obviously, Donovan Wilson had his first practice today. We're excited about that. Tyron Smith, 2 full practices, but here's the kind of sticky point, and we'll talk about this. Tyler Smith, hamstring. I said, what we talked about with them hamstrings? Hamstrings, hey, you gotta rest them. They're gonna linger. And I said he wasn't gonna play. People like, yeah, he is. I'm like, bro, have you ever had a hamstring injury? He gonna play? No, he's not. You got a hamstring injury. You can't move when you got a hamstring, and you're going against guys, and you're going backwards. They're pushing you backwards. You know how easy it's gonna pull that. So I get why they're resting. Zach Martin now, he has a little bit of a groin injury. He didn't participate Wednesday. He's limited today. And then the big one, Brandon Cooks has a MCL sprain. He missed the last 2 practices. What's your kind of thoughts on these injuries and kind of how you feel about them?
Yeah, the injuries are piling up. But, as you tweeted out, we're glad that the injuries are happening now than later. It's better for them to happen in week 2 than week 16, week 17, during the playoffs. So, and I think Mike McCarthy said last year, it's not a fact of if injuries happen, it's when, because they're going to happen, period. So, with the Brandon Cooks injury, that's a little bit, disheartening, but from what we saw in Tolbert, this preseason and in training camp, I think Tolbert's ready to step right on in. The beauty of this team is that we have built this team from the bottom up. So we have depth in these positions. We really do have guys. And what's beautiful about this year is it's not just, okay, next man up, but there's just this catastrophic gap between the starter and the backup, And granted, Jalen Tolbert is not on Brandon Cook's level yet, but Jalen Tolbert was also mentored all preseason training camp by Brandon Cooks. Brian Schottenheimer, our offensive coordinator, spoke about specifically how Jalen Tolbert literally has been attached at the hip with Brandon Cooks, and that's why he's taken that leap forward from his rookie year. Then we have the Zach Martin injury, which it seems like they're just being careful with him. I think he will play, but if he can't play, we have somebody, TJ Bass, that we think should be able to step right on in. TJ Bass had to step right on in for Chuma Undoga, who was prepared. Shout out to Coach Mike Solari, because we didn't see Chuma pretty much all training camp. We didn't see him in the preseason at all. And he came out and I think gave up 1 or 2 pressures. So these guys are prepared. These guys are ready. So I'm not really too, in the past, we would be kind of freaking out about these injuries. But I'm not this year because of our depth, but also because of how we switched our offense, which I think Dak had the lowest amount of time of getting that ball out. So we've switched our offense. So now that we've switched to a offense that is filled with West Coast principles, that ball is getting out of Dak's hand very fast. The receivers are sure on where they're supposed to be, clear on the routes they're supposed to run. So that also takes pressure off of our offensive line, and it takes pressure off our offensive line. So for those injuries, Tyler Smith, and I think Chuma, he's not on the injury list, so I think Chuma will be ready to go next week.
Right. Yeah, I think he will too.
I mean, this week. I'm not sure what happened to Chuma during the game, that he had to leave early. I don't remember hearing what the reports are, but and then like you have Michael Gallup up here. Michael Gallup is going to be able to eat more this game.
Yes.
Last game, he just got he didn't get that many targets, but this game, I think Michael Gallup has shown us all through preseason that in training camp that he's ready to go, that he's returned. Even there was a play during last week where Michael Gallup went up and got it. Now it was out of bounds, but we could just still see Michael Gallup threat that we're used to seeing, where Dak can do those deep sideline balls, and Michael Gallup will go up and he will get it. He will come down with it. I think Michael Gallup is back to that form. So these injuries, although we would prefer for all of our starters to be in every single week, we know that's not the reality. we're just grateful that we have the depth to come in who can step up and who, our offense and defense will still be flowing. Like Dono, he was out last week. He comes in this week, awesome. But we had Wanye filling in for him last week,
and Marquise Bell,
and we saw Marquise led the team in tackles. He was flying around everywhere, and then Wanye literally made the play. I call it the play of the game that just fueled the whole momentum into the team. He had pass breakups on Darren Waller, so we really just have dogs, like I said, from top to bottom. So these injuries are not as concerning, as they would be in the past.
I agree, and I got Wanye up here. He's ranked currently 6th in all of safeties in the Pro Football Focus. Obviously, the grades. We're not tripping off that. But that man's a dog right there. Him and Marquise Bell. Wanye Thomas is playing like on fire. His hair is on fire. Like they say, your hair is on fire. He's playing like his hair is on fire. He's playing like he's on a mission. It just feels like he's out to prove something. Yeah. And the way him and Marquise Bell were just attacking that line of scrimmage, man, it was exciting to see. And you could just see where Dan Quinn was just having fun. Who am I going to put in now? Who am I going to sub in now? If you're a defensive coordinator and you got all those toys and all those things that you can play with and do all those type of things with your defense, that is exciting for you as a coach. And the great thing I love about it, Star, is that Micah Parsons don't have to play all game.
Yep.
You feel me? Yep. You can sub him because we have enough players that are on that line of scrimmage, on that defensive line. That rotation is heavy. Now, I know he never wants to come out the game, but it's good for him because we want a fresh Micah Parsons because he was tired toward the end of the season because of what he was doing, going back and forth, playing all these positions. And depth was okay, but it wasn't like it was this year now.
Yeah.
So now he can sit out, rest, and you can rest him going in toward the end of the season so he can be fresh and dynamic for those playoffs. So I just love how we can really attack in so many different ways. I love, like I said, when Donovan Wilson come back, that's a good problem to have, but I wonder how they're going to figure that out because we need some Dono, but the way Wanye and Marquise Bell's playing,
right?
You're going to have to figure it out, dog.
Right. It's gonna be difficult, and just piggybacking off of that, now we also have where our offense and our defense are going hand in hand.
Right.
So now we have a coach that knows play to your defense, right? Play to the defense, control the game, control the clock, which is then giving our defense a lot of rest because I think the injuries started to pile up last year because we kind of had this high-flying offense where they were just scoring so fast, or we weren't able to move the ball at all. So we kept getting quick 3-and-outs and putting our defense back on the field. So now that we have Mike calling the plays, we have an offensive coordinator that are on one accord with Dan Quinn. Now both sides can play to each other, and we can. What Mike said, the whole reason when in the offseason when he said I want to run the damn ball, he said so that I can rest my defense. Like we run the ball to control the clock so that our defense can get rest. And then when your starters, Micah, D-Law, all of them are rested, then on top of that, you got guys on the bench. That's why I feel like we were able defensively to just keep that momentum the whole game because the defense was not exhausted as they typically are. So, that's another point just to bring up regarding, our defensive play and stuff like that. So
yeah, and I agree. And just kind of what you're talking about, bouncing off of that offense. People, I hope you don't forget, but that week 1 game against the Giants, right before that, in that preseason game, Dak Prescott called that offense. He called that whole offense that whole game. And that's what I was talking about on my show yesterday was him calling that offense, and then he comes into the Giants game. In my opinion, and I'm not hyping this or just saying this, but that was one of the first times I've seen Dak since 2017 where I looked him in the eye and like, okay, that's his offense. That he looks cool, calm and collected.
And
Because a lot
collect.
of times I would see Dak and I'll be like, why is he sweating so much? Or, why is this, why is he doing this? Why is that happening? Is he nervous? I'll be talking to myself in my head because I'm
Yeah.
looking at things. But I just saw him in total control of that offense. He had full command on it. I don't care what they talk about. That was a torrential rain. You show me how many quarterbacks can really throw that ball in that type of rain and throw for 300 some yards. You are an animal because
Yeah.
that rain was crazy. Even when you don't have a high def TV and you can see the rain, that's when the rain is coming down, dog.
Yeah.
When you ain't got high def and you can still see the rain,
Still
it's
see the rain.
bad. You feel me?
Yeah.
It's real bad. But that gave me a lot of confidence watching Dak just command that offense. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to see in a dry field at home how it's going to look. Even if you don't have a Brandon Cook, because as you said before, I think Gallup, I think he's going to rebound. And I hope he remembers what happened. Was it his rookie year when Amari Cooper was out and they went to him and he was dropping all those passes and we were looking bad against them Jets?
Yep.
I hope he remembers that game and says, I want some redemption. And
Yep.
then Jalen Tolbert, this is your game, bro.
This
We
is
all been talking about you, Jalen.
This is
We
his
all
game.
been talking about you, Jalen.
Mhm.
So now this is your game to show us what you really made of and what you really about. You're going to get opportunities, especially if Cooks is out. You're going to get the opportunities, make the most of them. And I
Yep.
feel like if he can come in and get a first couple easy, quick passes, get his confidence, okay, this is real, I got him. I think he won't even be thinking that no more. And he's just going to be playing football after that.
Yep, I agree with that 100%. And I also had talked about the players now, like you talked about Dak, like he just was in full control. The players don't have that same anxiousness, that underlying anxiousness that they had to go through when they were under Kellen Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Because you now can trust your head coach, you can trust your offensive coordinator now, that the defensive players can trust that the offense is going to be able to make smart decisions. They're going to protect the ball. They can move the ball, right? We can move the ball. There's just nothing in the back of your head. You don't have to think of the players. The receivers aren't thinking about option routes and what if I go this way and Dak goes the other way. Those complications that we had the previous years, they don't have that anymore. So it's like that weight has been lifted off their shoulders, and I really think that's why you just see the cohesiveness and just the confidence in our players. I think they're just when they can be confident in your coaching, then that will reflect in the game. And I think everybody's 100% in on Mike McCarthy, Dan Quinn, so they trust the plan, they trust the game plan. And then also with Dak, in previous years, we never really saw Dak converse with Kellen during the game. We always saw him down looking at the iPad if something went wrong and, maybe talking with Doug Newsmeyer. But we never saw that constant communication that you need between your play caller and the quarterback. And now we see that every single time there's a timeout, Dak's going over there. He's talking to Mike McCarthy. He's talking to Brian Schottenheimer. I think maybe Tolzien, the QB coach, is over there. So everybody is just on one accord, constantly communicating. And I think that's why you just see everybody's confidence level up. So
I totally agree with that. And I've been saying that one mind, one thought. And I feel like now we have coaching all on one mind. Everybody is on the same board. Everybody is feeling each other. We're all in this together. There's no outside. Oh, we're having contentions from the offensive coordinator to the head coach.
yeah.
I just see the togetherness. And as you said, when the team sees you together as a coaching staff, it resonates to the players and they play loose. They play free. They play uninhibited. And that's when you get the 40-point games. That's when you get the block field goals. That's when you get the hit with the interception in the air. You run it back for the touchdown. Those things start happening for you because you all are on one thought and one mind. And I've been screaming that, and it just showed it week one. And I just feel like it exuded the confidence of the team. And only way we get stopped, in my opinion, is we get in our own way. And we just, as long as we play responsible, mature football, we'll be okay. And speaking of that, we're going to talk about, because we talked about on the show, the keys to the game. And we got Miss Star coming with the keys to the game right here, and I'm excited about it. She got the break. Look at her. She got all the good graphics. See, the game don't got all that. He's old school. He's like Harvey Martin. He's like Ed Too Tall Jones. and she's like the new wave of. She brings all this heat. I'm just firing her, but beautiful. I love all that good stuff. I love it. But Miss Star has the keys to the game,
Yep.
and first one, number one key to the game is hold Cook and Hall under 100 rushing yards, and kind of talk about that dynamic right there for a Star.
Yes. So if y'all watched the game of the Jets versus the Bills on Monday, y'all noticed that once Aaron Rodgers came out, which he only had like 4 snaps, so that's pretty
Right.
much the majority of the game.
Right.
The reason why they were able to move the ball was through Brees Hall and through Dalvin Cook. I honestly forgot the Jets got Dalvin Cook. I'm like, who is that?
Right.
Oh,
Right.
I forgot they
Yeah.
got Dalvin
Me
Cook.
too.
So so that took a lot of pressure off of Zach Wilson. And that's always when you have a young quarterback, you want to have a good running game because that means that we can run and move the ball. We don't just have to rely on his arm and his decision making. So, and that kind of helped Zach Wilson get into a flow of the game. So I think the key they're definitely not going to have Zach Wilson throwing a lot, right? That would be a mistake. Now he
Right.
has grown. To me personally, I saw growth from him. I
Mhm.
saw better pocket presence from him. I
Mhm.
saw better decision making, but still, you don't want to push your luck with that. So
Right.
they're definitely going to try to rely on Cook, that 1-2 punch with Dalvin Cook and Brees Hall to try to move the ball on us. So I think our key is to stifle the run game. You focus on stifling the run game because really you want Zach Wilson in a situation where he has to pass a lot.
Right.
And you know that once you start passing on this defense, it's game over, right? I think Trayvon Diggs said maybe they'll last week, do not pass on this defense because that is you're just asking for a disaster, right?
Right.
So I think that's first and foremost, if we want to win the game, if we want to limit that Jets offense that who's coming off of a high, because obviously they beat the Bills, and the Bills has been the team in the AFC North to beat. So if we can definitely limit their run game, we then put Zach Wilson, a second-year quarterback, in a position where he's going to be pretty much assaulted all game, just like Daniel Jones was. So, and their offensive line isn't good.
Right.
So when you had, and their 2 starting tackles are on the injury list.
Mhm.
So the key is really going to be the first thing you got to do in order to beat this team is to stop the run game. So that's why I had that as number 1.
Yeah, and I agree with you with that. If I'm just looking at the New York Jets in that run game with Brees Hall that you was talking about and Dalvin Cook, it looks like they got a lot of the majority of the yards on the right side. They're coming off that right edge, and I think that's on Beckham's side. I think that's Beckham's side.
Yeah.
But he's had a lot of injuries. He's had a big injury bug, and just like you said, him and Dwayne Brown are on the injury list. My thing right there, Dante Fowler, Dorrance Armstrong Jr., Micah Parsons, attack those edges.
Yep.
Attack those edges. Put that pressure on them. And Mozzie Hankins, because we saw a little bit of it, but Mozzie, Hankins, Osa, all those guys in the middle have to really clog that middle and really stifle them, make them bounce outside, because I feel like when we can get them to the outside, Star, that's where we win, because we have the speed on the outside now. So if you go to the outside, we can take you down. What we really need to concentrate on is stuff in that middle. If they can't get anything up the middle, it's going to put that pressure on Zach Wilson, just like you said. And we want him to be able to throw the ball. Yes, I agree with you. He has gotten, you can see he has got better. He's got a little bit better pocket awareness. He was rushing. He was flowing out of the pocket.
Yep.
He still has the big arm. But as you said, he's still young. He didn't get a lot of reps last year. And so he's still kind of green, and let's attack that and bring out those negative traits that we've seen when he gets pressured. You get what I'm saying? So I totally agree with that.
Yep.
Now, on number 2, you said here, hold Zach Wilson under 30 rushing yards. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so everybody knows, no secret, their slight Achilles heel to our defense is running quarterbacks.
Yes.
So Daniel Jones, obviously, at that first opening drive, Daniel Jones was getting like 5 to 10 yards at a time on us. And that's why they were able to move that ball right down the field. Thank God for Micah Parsons, who caused the false start. And then Wanye blocked the field goal, but they were able to get to the red zone from literally Daniel Jones scrambling. So if we can keep, and I'm guaranteeing you the Jets are going to do the same thing. Zach Wilson is an athletic quarterback. He actually avoided a lot of sacks last on Monday because of his legs. They were chasing him down, but he's just able to get away from him and throw that ball out and not take the sack. So they're definitely going to use his legs trying to move the ball. I would like to see Dan Quinn when he knows he's facing a rushing quarterback. I would like to see him develop a plan to stifle it early. He seems to allow it. I think that Dan Quinn, he does like to play around with his fronts and concepts and all this stuff because he's just trying to figure out what works best. Mm-hmm. But I think when you're going into a game knowing that this is a athletic quarterback that can take off at any second, that you should probably focus, I think, a little bit more on, let's not let them even get to the red zone, because I mean anything could happen, and then that's now they have 7 points on the board. So if we can limit completely their amount of points, because like I said last week, we kind of got a little bit lucky, right? So and they could have had 3 points. Now granted, I think we still would have blown them out, but if we can keep them, you don't know, you can lose games by a point, right? A point or two. So if you want to limit as much points as possible, and if you know that they're going to try to run the ball on you, then you should plan to stop that. So that's why I said also with Zach Wilson, we want to be able to keep him in the pocket, prevent him from running. So I don't know if you got to put a spy out there. I don't know, how they're going to do it. But I think that's also a key to victory, because if you let Zach Wilson just run all over the place, then, they're going to have multiple trips to the red zone. And at very least, they do have Greg the leg over there. So if you're going to put him right in the red zone, I mean, he's likely going to make those kicks. So at the very least. So I think keep him out of there. So keep them out of the red zone if we can.
I feel what you're saying as far as with that rushing, but my thing is the way we were pressuring Daniel Jones. I think you just need to keep that formula. We have heavy pressure guys go after him, because he threw no deep balls in that game, no passes over 20 yards in that game. So it was nothing but the short game. The majority of his passes came around 10 to 15 yards. So that's telling you right there, they're going to hit it short. Wilson had 5 catches, so they're going to target him, right?
Yep,
they're going to look for him. We definitely understand that, and they're going to hit those probably short slants, try to get the ball quickly out for him so he doesn't have to sit in that pocket. And because when he gets pressured, things bad happen for him. So my thing is, Dan Quinn, bring the pain, dog. Come with it. Come with that fire. Don't let him get comfortable at no period of time. My thing is, if I'm a coach, beat me, Zach Wilson. Dalvin Cook ain't gonna beat us, and Breece Hall ain't gonna beat us.
No.
If we were to lose this game, it's got to be you, Zach Wilson, beating us. You gonna have to throw crazy. You're gonna have to fit this ball in here. You're gonna do all that, because I'm coming after you all game long. I'm attacking you, because I don't want that young guy to get any confidence about himself, start feeling good about himself, and then start playing out of his mind because he just feeling so damn good about himself.
Right.
Pressure, you feel me? Yep. Pressure from the first snap, Star. I want nothing but pressure on this kid and let him know. So I totally feel you with that. So now let's come to our third key of the Big Star Show, keys to the victory. 3 drops. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so less than 3 drops. I think this past game we had 4, and they said Dak's completion percentage would have been like 70, 75-ish if we didn't have so many drops. Now, granted, we do know there was a tsunami outside, and so I'm going to attribute the tight ends dropping the ball to, this is their first jitters. Basically, I will consider that. So rain, but also like this is their first, I'm the number 1 tight end. And we really got to see improvement with them specifically, because Dak targets his tight ends a lot. He targeted Jake Ferguson 7 times. That was more than he targeted any other wide receiver or tight end. And Jake Ferguson only came up with the ball 2 times for like 13 yards. So that's not going to cut it. And we don't want Dak also. Dak's typically not a quarterback that loses faith in guys. He's going to keep going to you, but you also just don't want Dak to be second guessing if he sees you wide open. But okay, maybe let me try to wait a little bit longer, see maybe I can get CD or something because I don't trust this man to catch the ball. So we definitely, and we don't want to have tip balls interceptions that we had to deal with last year. So I definitely think specifically with the tight ends, we've got to tighten it up with the drops. The tight end is the quarterback's best friend. Your outlet. Dak has to be able to rely on you. So I definitely want to see less drops in this game. I don't think we had too many drops from the wide receivers, but I know for sure we had a drop touchdown from Peyton Hendershot. I think a drop touchdown or several drops. It could have been us getting a first down from Jake Ferguson. So I just think we need to just tighten that up. And I think if we do that, we would have scored way more points if not for those drops on offense. And we scored 27. So, you're talking about Dak having 2 touchdowns, no picks, and maybe 200, 300 something yards. So,
yeah, I'm going to agree with you because, like you said, we have 4 drops in the game. 2 were attributed to Jake Ferguson, 1 to Hendershot, and that was more like the touchdown. But Jake Ferguson, you're our number 1 guy. You got to play like it. Not saying anything bad against you, Jakey, but you was 2 of 6. They 2 of 6 to you, only 33%. That tells you, just like you said, Dak likes his tight ends. Dak likes to work his tight ends. He likes to work that short game. We've seen it with Witten. We saw it with Dalton Schultz, Blake Jarwin when he was in there. He works those tight ends and he loves to use his tight ends. So you guys have, and like you said, we can't be putting ourselves in bad positions. Make the catch. Don't have the tip passes where they get the interception, get momentum. It's those type of little things that keep those type of teams in the game. You get what I mean? And so we need to not be our own worst enemy, and drop passes is. KaVontae Turpin, you got to tighten up too, big dog, because you had a drop too, and you be having a little bit of the drop seas as well. And I don't know if you need contacts or something, because, we talked about how you be running into people. I don't know. Get some contacts, big dog, if you need them. I know you're a pro player. You can get them. So just kind of keep your eyes on that KaVontae Turpin. He had a good game. Scored a touchdown. I liked it. But you still got to hold that ball in because they got a different role for you now. We're seeing KaVontae Turpin in the passing game, and I like it. He's involved in this offense, so you're going to have some tick in this offense. So you got to be able to make those plays. So I agree with you 100% that we got to control those drops. You got to be good to your quarterback. Especially when your quarterback's going to you religiously and looking for you, you got to honor that by going ahead and make the plays because this should be a game where I know they're a good team, but we play our game, Star. We should just be marching down the field, up and down the field on these guys. I know they got a good defense, but I just feel like we got a better offense and we can march up and down the field on this team. It's just going to be us that's going to get in the way of that. And that comes to our final point where we just kind of talked about it. But that comes to the final point right here. And the biggest and best point, in my opinion, no turnovers. Talk about that right there, Star.
Yeah, no turnovers. And we did pretty clean this game. Tony Pollard did fumble on a screenplay, but luckily Tyler Biotis. Right. And actually, I forgot about that. Shout out to who were
that was huge.
Yeah, because that was a turnover. We were literally like right at the goal line. Could you imagine we turn the ball over there? You're fueling momentum into the other team when that type of stuff happens. So we can't have turnovers, one, because we don't want to tire out our defense, right? But you also don't want to give the other team momentum. And that's what happens when you have turnovers. There were so many times we're driving down the field. Oh, tip ball, turn the ball over. Oh, drop pass, turn the ball over. Oh, there was some bad option route read. The ball's turned over. You're completely killing the momentum of your team and fueling momentum into the other team when you turn the ball over. We saw how we just broke the Giants' spirits because they kept turning the ball over, and it's like turnovers kind of become contagious almost.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when it rains, it pours. So we really do not, and I'm really, thankful for Coach Mike McCarthy, who literally made it his focus to protect Dak, right? Protect Dak with the offensive line, but also just protect your quarterback and not cause him to be thinking so hard and thinking so much, because that causes turnovers too. If I'm trying to force something,
right,
or I'm holding the ball too long because these guys aren't open and stuff like that. So we really want to, we have an offense that should limit turnovers, but our players also, like Tony Pollard, we can't have that. You know what I'm saying? We can't have you fumbling the ball. Last year, you didn't have no fumbles.
Mm-hmm.
This year, you already got one. You're
right.
the main guy. You're the main guy now.
Right.
So we really need you to, and we know how Rico ran very well last game, but we know Rico in the preseason had that fumble right at the goal line. We can't have that type of stuff. And you have to know the Jets defense, they're very aggressive, so they're going to be going after that ball.
They're going to be trying to strip that ball. Yes, they are.
They're going to be trying to strip that ball out. So everybody's you got to focus in. You really got to focus in, because we don't want that momentum swing, because that's how you lose games. You know what I'm saying? It's just anything can go wrong, and we don't want to lose to the Jets again like we did in 2019.
Right.
Because nobody expected us to lose that game, and we literally lost. So
I'm gonna tell you right now, I did not have a good feeling in that game at all. I'm gonna keep it real, Star. When we were going there, I was just like, I didn't tell nobody, but in my heart, I was like, I was like, man, we might lose this game, because it just felt like it. It just felt like it going there. The aura, it was eerie.
Yeah.
It just felt and then
it didn't feel good. We also had Kellen Moore. So
I was like, this just don't feel good.
It doesn't feel right.
And I was like, I don't like it. It didn't feel good. And when the way the game started, I said, yep. It's gonna be like that, man. It's gonna be like that. But this year, after that 4 years ago, I don't have that feeling at all. I didn't have it with Aaron Rodgers. That's why I wanted to play Aaron Rodgers. So to me, we really should just really mow these guys down, because I felt like we were gonna beat them even with Aaron Rodgers. That's why that's why I wanted him to play. I'm frustrated that he's still not playing in this game,
right?
Because I want to beat you with these Jets. Because I don't want to hear, because the excuses are coming out, Star. As soon as we beat this team, they ain't have Aaron Rodgers. That's why
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Zach Wilson. I mean, what Zach Wilson's done, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The excuses will keep on coming in. But my thing is like this. You're supposed to beat those teams then, right? And that's what we did. Just like when they talk about the Giants. Oh, the Giants, we knew what they were. Okay, well, if you knew what they were then, didn't we do what we were supposed to do to those type of teams then? Because so many times if you look at our last 4 or 5 games we played against the Giants, Star, they weren't blowouts. They were going into the third and fourth quarter for us pulling away from them. We was not blowing out the Giants.
Nope.
People acting like we were stomping them. We have been beating them, but we were not blowing out these Giants. Those were competitive games all the way almost through to a lot of those contests. So for us to come in and do what we did right there, to me, is very significant. When I thought it was going to be a close game in a rainstorm. In a rainstorm. So I really can't wait to this Jets matchup. Now, I want to ask you a few things before we get ready to head off of here. What, on the offensive side of the ball, what's a matchup that you're looking at for the Dallas Cowboys for us against them?
Well, you're definitely going to be looking at the CeeDee Lamb versus Sauce Gardner matchup. Now, Sauce did not have a good game last week, or this past week. But of course, he going against Stephon Diggs, so which is one of the arguably, he's top 5 wide receiver in the league. So we definitely want to see the matchup between him and CD. Now, I think CD is going to take his lunch. I think CD has gone against plenty of top corners in this league and just dominated them. I mean, that's just the type of receiver that CD is. But I do think it's going to be scrappy. I do think Sauce is probably going to get maybe a pass breakup or 2 on CD or whatever. And they're also probably, with Brandon Cooks out, they're probably going to try to double CD, to be honest. because they're like, well, we don't have to worry about Brandon Cooks. So now Dak beat us with Michael Gallup and Jalen Tolbert. I think Dak is going to be able to do that because you don't underestimate Michael Gallup and Jalen Tolbert. Those are dogs too. But I think now since Brandon Cooks is gone, they're definitely probably going to roll coverage to CD. But this is definitely a matchup that I want to watch on the offensive side of the ball for sure. CD versus Sauce, and let me see anybody else. Also, it would be interesting to see the offensive line. They dominated last week, and I hope that they're able to continue that domination this week versus, they have Quentin Williams, obviously, all-pro guy. You have, who else is over there? You got the young guy, Quentin Jefferson. I don't know this guy, but the young guy they
Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah, they had Jermaine Johnson, which
he had a sack last.
Yeah, he had a sack last game. So
he's nice.
Yeah, he's nice. He's definitely, he's definitely took a step forward. So we definitely want to see how our offensive line does against these guys. Now, I think on paper, the Giants' defensive line is better than this Jets defensive line, with Quentin Williams on there. So I do think that the guys should be able to dominate and hold their own. But so I just hope I'm going to be watching that our offensive line versus their defensive line, because if they can protect Dak like they did last week and clear holes like they did last week, there was a Tyler Biotish, phenomenal. Mike Solarge has these guys playing, because there was a clip that they showed of Tyler Biotish where he literally we did a power run scheme, which I'm so glad that we finally started implementing power run schemes again into our offense. Oh, Will McDonald, I forgot about this kid.
Yeah.
First round pick for the Jets. So
he's nice. I like Will McDonald.
He's nice as well. Yeah. So but Tyler Biotish, just his awareness, he did like a combo block and then he flipped around and blocked the other guy to give Dak more time. So I just want to just watch and hope that the offensive line is keeping that momentum, firing off on all cylinders, and protecting Dak. Because if you can protect Dak like they did last week, Dak should be lighting it up. Dak should be tearing up this secondary, in my opinion. Their other corners is Michael Carter and DJ Reed, which are good corners, but I do think Gallup and Jalen Tolbert should be able to eat against these guys. So hopefully we see that, and our running backs are able to do what they did last week, which was run pretty successfully. I did like the 1-2 punch of Tony Pollard and Rico Dowdle. Rico, to me, looked really good. So hopefully we can just keep that up. I'm not worried about their linebackers or anything like that. I think we should, as long as our offensive line clears holes, our running backs should be able to do just fine.
I agree. Now, my kind of matchup to me is Rico Dowdle and Tony Pollard, but specifically Rico Dowdle. He had 6 carries for 24 yards in that game. I think we need to use him to soften up that defensive line of the New York Jets. Run that rock up the middle with him, run him off tackle. That zone scheme is beautiful because it's perfect for Tony Pollard and the backs. So I really like that zone, inside zone, and the zone scheme that they have, because it allows them to be able to see where they want to go and then hit the hole. Because even when Tony Pollard made that cutback for that touchdown, he was able to run down the line, make the cutback, and that's what he's so good at, is cutting back. So to me, I want to see how Rico Dowdle and how Tony Pollard really go against that defensive front and how they kind of loosen up. That's going to be the key to me, because then I think the game will really open. Dak is really good at play action. I think that's one of his best forays. He can really play action you. If we can really establish that run game kind of early and really kind of get them going, blow up some big yards. Tony Pollard, like 12, 13-yard game. Dowdle, 5 or 6 yards, kind of soften them up a little bit, hit them with that play action, and then let's kind of attack them in the air. That's going to be a key matchup for me on the offensive side, is our run game against that rush defense against the Jets. And I really want to see I feel like Rico Dowdle can really get some tick in this game, Star. I think he can really get some good work, and I really want to see him, man, because I think as the season goes on, he's going to continue to get better and better. So that's kind of my big matchup on our side of the ball. Now, on the flip side, before we head out, what is your matchup for the Jets on offense and us on defense?
Um, I'm interested to see. I would say our defensive line stopping those running backs. I mean, I feel like if we can, like I said, if we can stop Dalvin Cook and Brees Hall from getting, if we can limit them under 100 yards, I don't really see them doing much. Even Garrett Wilson, he's nice, but I do feel like Garrett Wilson. I mean, our cornerbacks are the best in the league. I don't think Garrett Wilson is any. I love Garrett Wilson. I think he's a good young wide receiver. I mean, y'all saw the catch he did last on Monday. He's good. I'm not saying he's not good, but I don't think that he is a match for Trayvon Diggs nor Stephon Gilmore. And I honestly think that even if they put him in the slot and try to put him on Bland, I mean, I have confidence in Bland. Bland was going toe to toe with Christian Kirk, which I think Christian Kirk is a better wide receiver now than Garrett Wilson, a better slot wide receiver. So, I mean, if we can, I think that the cornerback's going to have the wide receivers because their other wide receivers is Randall Cobb, Allen Lazard. Randall Cobb is old. Allen Lazard is slow. I don't really think that's going to be that big of a deal there. But I think you really are looking for Hankins, Mozzie, Odigizua. You know, how are they going to do? Which they should be able to just penetrate that backfield. Odigizua was got my player of the week because he was on a tear last week.
Yeah.
I mean, he had so many tackles for loss, sacks. Quarterback hit. So I definitely, and even Mozzie was doing his thing. Now, granted, it was against Mark Gladwin-Ziski, who's kind of terrible, but
right.
Even regardless, he was still able to do his thing. Hankins was defeating double teams and getting that ball carrier. So if our front, just like you said, we clog up that middle, we have the linebackers and the safeties that if anything on the outside, they're going to be able to clean it up pretty easily. So I think, you know, what I'm looking for is how our front plays against Dalvin Cook and Brees Hall.
Yeah, I agree with you with that one, but I'm gonna come back to them receivers, and this is what I'm gonna say. I'm not scared of those guys, but what I do want this defense to do is don't underestimate them because we know our defense can lock them down, and we feel we can shut down Zach Wilson. Don't underestimate them and let them get hot. Don't let a Garrett Wilson get a few big catches. Don't let a Randall Cobb get a sneaky long catch.
That's true. That's
you
true.
You feel me? Don't let a Lazard, get a long
Lazard
bomb.
Is huge.
You feel me? Lazard's a big guy, and he was with them Packers, and so they know about him. Okay, so my thing is, don't let down your guard secondary.
Yep.
You can hold them down, no doubt. But my thing is don't let your guard down. Don't because I know Diggs has that itch where he's like, okay, I'm playing against Zach Wilson. I want some picks today.
Yeah, he wants some picks tonight.
You feel me? So don't forget, because remember we had that problem last year when we were saying, or even the players were saying, guys, we're kind of trying to play some hero ball, not staying within the concept of the game, trying to make plays where it's like stay in the concept of the game and those plays will come to you. So that's my biggest thing. Make plays, but don't go out of the realm where you're being the hero and then you end up being the GOAT because you were trying to be the hero and plays get busted. And then all of a sudden now they make a big play and now they're getting some confidence about themselves. So my biggest thing is secondary. Don't let your guard down. Don't play hero ball in this game. Stay consistent like you did in them Giants, and everything's going to be just fine. If they play like that, we'll be good. My thing is don't play hero ball.
Yep.
And I'm good with that.
Yep.
So I feel
I agree with that totally.
Yeah, so I feel good. Like I said, I feel good about this Jets game.
Yep.
I feel like this is a 31. I said 24-13, but now I'm going to jump out there and say 31-13 because I think we can get, some turnovers or start trying to pull away, start getting the big plays. How they start kind of rolling in. You get the one touchdown and you come back and get another touchdown. I think it'll come in waves when we do it. And I think that's when we'll just kind of pull away and then kind of just run through them. And then the turnovers might start coming in hordes, especially once we get that lead and they feel like they have to throw.
Yeah.
That's when we can really pin our ears back against the Zach
And
Wilson
get 'em.
and
Yeah.
really just go after him and really get all kind of plays on
That's
him.
true.
And I'm excited to see. But I feel like this is going to be a game that we handle. And one last thing from my end, because I'm going to get your last words. My kind of last words on this is play responsible football, Dallas. Play mature football. Y'all know y'all better than this team. Yeah, they're a good team, but we're better. I know we're better. We're a better team than the New York Jets. Don't feel like you got to go out there and replicate a 40-0 because the media is saying, "Oh, well, you got to blow these guys out, or y'all ain't the dogs, or y'all ain't." Don't fall into that. Just play your game, play football, and all that will open up himself. Just continue to play responsible football, mature play calling, and I think we'll be okay.
Yep.
You have any last thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think everybody just do your job and follow the flow of the game. And that's what I saw from Dak last week. He was trying to take his shots. They weren't coming up with it. So Mike is like, let's not keep pressing it. Let's just run the ball. That's working. Let's give Turpin a toss play. That's what I want to see. Everybody just do your job and go with the flow of the game. If their cornerbacks are going crazy and doing all these pass breakups and stuff, you don't have to force it.
Right.
If the shots when they're there, if the shots aren't there, but we're moving the ball on the ground, just be comfortable and say, okay, we're moving the ball on the ground, because it don't matter how we win. It just matters that we do win. So win how we can. Everybody do what your job. If everybody does their job, just like last week, we should have a pretty dominant showing. I mean, that's what I think. I think we probably should score more than in our at home, no weather conditions. I think our offense should score more than 27 points that they scored in the tsunami. And I think that, we should be able to limit those Jets to 10, 13 points.
Yeah.
So
they shouldn't get more than 13 points, in my opinion.
Yeah,
our defense is good enough where they shouldn't even be threatening us like that. And so, as you said before, don't let this be the trap game. I don't believe that. I feel like that they're mature enough to understand that. Come on. Because we've been building this team. We've been seeing this team build for the last 3 or 4 years. These ain't no just all rookies together. These guys know each other. You're together. Your coaches are feeling you and believing you. So the biggest thing that you were saying when I heard you on your last words on this was, hey, if they get a couple pass breakups, you don't need to keep trying to force it over there. Don't try to feel like you got to throw for 350 yards. Just let it come, and it's going to come. You don't got to force it. This is the don't force it game.
Right.
You don't force it and just play normal. You're going to blow them out.
Yep, I agree with that. Just don't force it. Don't force it. You don't want to be like Josh Allen throwing 3 picks.
Right. Buffalo wins that game, Star, if Josh Allen doesn't turn that ball over.
They win that game if Josh Allen doesn't turn the ball over. I don't know. Josh Allen is just a conundrum to me, because I'm like, the guy's got talent, but when it comes to his decision making, it's just not good. He's just not good.
It's so funny though, because I remember when he was coming out of Wyoming. And I seen his Wyoming tape. It was not good. He was under 55%, 56% completion percentage. He was a turnover machine at Wyoming. He was a turnover machine, interception machine. And the biggest thing that really skyrocketed him in that draft, where he had a cannon of an arm.
He has a huge arm.
He was 6'5". He could run the ball. And you're like, well, you know what? We don't want to pass on that, so we can teach that. The completion. But if you can't throw it in college and complete the ball, you're not going to the NFL. It doesn't happen like that. And now the stuff is showing, because if you look at his first few years, his completion percentage wasn't good. And if you look at his career, it's not great. And he's a turnover machine in the NFL. So the same person he was in college, he's the same person in the NFL.
Yeah.
But when you got a good team around you, it can hide those warts.
It can hide that, right? Exactly. And I think, Josh Allen, he's just not able to hide anymore. I mean, he lost Dayball, but I'm like, it shouldn't be that big of a drop off because you lost your offensive coordinator if he's what people say that he is, which is a top 3 quarterback. So if you're a top 3 quarterback, you're elite. the drop off shouldn't be that drastic. I just don't. I'm like, I don't know if you blame it on the coaches or whatever, but this is year 6 for Josh Allen, and to me, he's making a lot of almost looking very rookie-ish out there. I just don't see I don't even know what Josh Allen is looking at, to be honest. I'm like, people always criticize black quarterbacks. Can they read a defense? Can Josh Allen read a defense?
Can he? Because that was irresponsible football out there. And so, like I said, hey, we'll see. But we'll see. You can't be a top quarterback like that, turning the ball over like that, and then keep getting excuses for it.
Right.
But we're gonna see. We're gonna see soon. We're gonna see him. We're gonna see him and how they scheduled us. I knew they were going.
Wait to play the Bills. I tell you that.
Me neither. I don't like how they did us, having us go to Buffalo in the cold, because that was a setup. I know they set that one up.
Yeah, they trying to set us up, but we gonna be ready.
We still gonna be ready for them, and we gonna get them. So hey, I appreciate you jumping on here. We had the Big Star Show episode 2. Talking about these Cowboys Jets. We're both in agreement. We ain't being homers. If you look on the outside and you look in, Cowboys should definitely handle this game. Absolutely. Whether it was Zach Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, we still will handle this game. So my prediction, I'm going with 31-13. What's your score prediction?
I'm gonna say 10-35, 34.
Ooh.
That's what
she really stomping on these fools. So, I try to give them a little grace. You know what I'm saying? I try to give them a little grace. Start like, we're going to beat them 50-0.
I mean, I'll tell y'all this, if we limit this team, if it's another, like, they only get 3 points or 0 to 30 plus points.
Yes. Going to be a lot of talk around them streets. If we do 2 goose eggs, they're gonna be like, could this one to be one of the best defenses?
One of the best teams.
Ravens. Remember the Ravens, dude. Remember that? They'll start bringing the new Legion of Boom. You know what I'm saying? All that talk is gonna start coming out of nowhere if we absolutely dominate these Jets, which we really can.
We really can dominate them.
We really absolutely can dominate this team and really show the world Cowboys mean business.
Yeah.
So
and I think that's what our team is out. As Dak said, he said we either capture or we kill, and we don't capture shit. So they are going after the jugular this year, and I appreciate that. I like the fire in our guys, and it's like, don't leave anything out on the field. Take what's yours and move on to the next. So I think that's our mindset this year. You could just see it from the players. It's just y'all listen to the sounds of the sideline on the sideline. It's just a totally different confidence about the team. Like, it's their confidence just through the roof. So
I feel you. It just feels different. And we heard so many times people say, "Oh, it feels different," but it feels different to me because ain't none of them Garrett boys in the building. That's why it definitely feels different.
Garrett's gone, and Garrett was here for a decade. You know what I'm saying? So
10 years, and people don't ever want to talk about that. People don't want to talk about that even when they talked about Dak development. He had Jason Garrett as his coach for 4 years.
Yeah.
And he still won games with that coach. And Jason Garrett will never be a head coach in the NFL again. Never. He will never coach. He will never be an offensive coordinator.
No.
So what does that tell you?
What does that tell you? And for Dak to still be able to rise against the odds, and for an offensive coordinator that comes in and Kellen Moore and still not predicating the offense to his strength, but still leading the number 1 offense 2 years in a row when he played, it just shows you the type of caliber quarterback that Dak Prescott is. And not everybody, because now they're giving Josh Allen the excuse, he lost Dayball. That's why he's just not good. But I'm like, y'all didn't care about who was coaching Dak for years. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all didn't care about that at all. But now we care about coaching and all this stuff. But whatever, you know what I'm saying?
It is what it is. Let the hate roll, but let's keep on rolling on these fools. So I appreciate you again, Star, jumping in there. We had another great show. Make sure you go support her page on her YouTube. Go check her out on Twitter. She goes down. She don't play around. She's got a lot of great information. So please give her a follow on Twitter. Go like her on her. Don't you have a Facebook page too?
Yeah, I have y'all can follow me on Facebook at StarGazer Sports Media. Follow me on Instagram at StarGazer_sports. And then you can follow me on Twitter at the StarGazer. But in Gazer, it's a 3 instead of an E, and then it's 2 R's at the end.
Nice. Well, make sure that's a great follow. We're gonna have a whole bunch more great shows this whole season.
Yep.
It's gonna be a great ride. I can't wait to when we knock off them Jets, and I just want to see how bad we beat them down, so we can jump on here and say, "See, we told you, it's gonna be a blowout, and we can break this game down and get ready for the next." So, for myself, Big Game James, Miss StarGazer, the Big Star Show, EP2. We'll check y'all out next week as we get ready to roll and roll on these Jets. We'll be talking to you soon.